Welcome to part 2 of our kitchen makeover. Here's the before and after. If you're interested in learning how we extended our backsplash, stay tuned.
My deal is this is a cut piece, so this has got to come out anyway.
Yeah, that's got to come out.
So for me, I would superimpose this cut, because you got to take this cut, and this cut out. Now you can do that with a putty knife, get it behind here, and just try to do as minimal drywall damage as possible. Look, you're going to get some dents in the drywall, not a big deal. But take your little hammer and a little chisel, or I don't know, a putty knife, something, a screwdriver. Screwdriver doesn't have a lot of base on it, so it's going to put more pressure on the drywall and cause more damage. You should be able to put a kind of a stiff putty knife behind this, smack it with a hammer, and then just kind of work it out. And this should come out. Okay. You should be able to get these pieces out pretty good. Start with this one here. It may crack, who cares? And then come in from the side and pop that piece out. If you do leave some of the mastic on this drywall, you need to scrape it off. Just use that putty knife and whoop, 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 whoop. You'll take some of the paper of the drywall off, no big deal. If one of the areas, and you go to put that mastic on, and the joint doesn't match up, maybe this one here is back further, just pop that back off and put a little bit more mastic underneath it so you make it level, so it's not going in and out.
All right, y'all, it's late. Look a hot mess. I've been taking care of kids all day, but I'm tired of waiting. I want my kitchen to get together, so I'm just going in. I got this sander now. The next step is to sand this down, this area down. So that's what I'm about to do. All right. So at this point, my frustration had overwhelmed my fear. I was procrastinating because I was terrified of messing up. And even though Marquette did a phenomenal job at explaining what we needed to do, I was still scared. But at this point, I didn't care anymore. I needed to get something done. Because I have this little area under here that is too small for my sander. So I'm just going to use this little handheld one and do it manually. As you see, all the ridges pretty much are gone. Those little imperfections really shouldn't matter. Right here, I don't think that should matter. But the bumpiness is gone. Now I just want to clean up and get down in there. Say, make sure that if you had to do like what I had to do, which was remove tile, just make sure that you sand all of this down and even get the grout removed too. You want to sand that grout all the way down, especially that corner, okay? You want it to be a smooth surface. Basically, you want it to be the tile here so that you can make room for your grout that's going to go right there. Hey, y'all. So we are here with day 2 of the Backsplash project. Yesterday, I started with the prep work, which was removing 3 of the tiles. I didn't quite get that on camera, just because I just wanted to go ahead and get started, but we pretty much wanted to start with a smooth surface. So now Tom is about to move the oven out of the way, and we're gonna just make sure that we don't have anything in the way so that we can start with this backsplash. All right, babe.
All right, gas is off. There we go, okay.
If you notice under here, we had to remove tile because it was cut. Because originally our tile stopped right here. So they cut all the way here because we used to have a microwave that sat right here. So now because we want to take the backsplash all the way up, we're gonna have to have a full piece of tile so that the pattern isn't thrown off. This is what they call a brick pattern. And what I've noticed is that every 3 rows are the same. So that means this next row that we're working on when we add these 3 pieces of tile should mimic this row down here. And so with that being true, that means you see how this grout line is right here? If you count 3 down, this grout line should match this grout line. So with that being said, I need my full piece of towel right here, which brings me matching this grout line and this grout line. Now the problem is that a full piece of towel won't fit, obviously, under here. So we're gonna have to make a cut. So if you come over here, you'll see how we're gonna decide how to make that cut. First thing I wanna do is make sure that I have this completely lined up where that towel would meet. Once I figure that out, I wanna go ahead over here, mark the line. This is where the cabinet starts. Then what I wanna do is sit the towel on top, mark the line right here, because again, this is where the cabinet comes down to. So now what's gonna happen is I'm gonna end up getting like a leveler or a ruler, making a rectangle, and this is gonna be the area that I cut out. This is what I've been doing. I wanna lay out the towel first and mark what they are, and then I just think that it might be longer, but again, this is our first time doing it. So if I lay out the towel, how it's gonna go on the wall and how we need to cut it and where we need to cut it, I just feel like that would be easier. So what we have here, I've labeled them. This is the system that I'm going with. The X means this part is going to be the waist. So we're gonna cut obviously where the lines are. The X is going to be the waist. L1 means left side, first row. This is the middle tile. Then this is the right tile. This again is the X. This is the part where we cut along the line. This will be the waist. This is the part that we will use, which is R1. And then we just go so on and so forth. Again, this is a brick pattern. So we're gonna cut along this line. This is actually the part that we're going to keep, which is L2. And this is the part that will be the waist. You wanna make sure that the part that you keep is the part that you label as L2, because if I were to just put L2 over here, being that this is the waist, I would be like, okay, where does this go? So make sure that the part that you're going to throw away is the part with the X. The part that you're going to keep, make sure that that's the part that you label, so that when you bring it back, that you'll know, okay, where this exactly goes. Also, make sure that you write with a pencil, because it's easier to erase and just clean this up. And just make sure that the pencil that you use has a sharp edge, okay? And so as you can see, I have, I think 5 rows. And again, even up here, we have L5. This is the part that we're gonna waste. This is the middle. I have to write middle, I forgot to write that label. And this is R5. This is the part that will be waste. Of course, for the waste, I am going to probably try to reuse them. And so I'm not gonna like literally throw them in the trash, but that's just letting me know that this is not a part of that row. We're using this part. So I would say, just like with any project, but especially a project that you're not familiar with, this is our first time doing it, it's gonna be all about the prep work. Again, make sure that you have a flat, smooth surface that you're starting with. So if you need to sand something, sand that wall down, go ahead and sand that wall down. And then lay out your towel prior to, get your cuts already done, so that now when it's time to lay that towel, you can just go right on ahead and do it. All right, y'all, let's go to the next step.
It's a diamond blade. Once again, it's made, all this is diamonds, diamond steel. Oh, wow. All diamond blades, that's why they're 40 bucks.
Yeah.
Hell of a blade, saves you a lot of time. This is a grinding wheel with a ceramic tile cutter on it. It cuts marble, cuts granite, cuts tile like butter.
Wow.
Butter. So keep a steady hand when you're cutting this. When you got it down here, just use both hands to kind of hold it on the cardboard and just start cutting through that line.
And you said cut on the right side of the line.
Cut on the right side, because the line should be moderately exposed.
Okay.
That's why when he gets to this point, he can just cut that piece off.
Got you.
And he can tip it where he can get it to cut off, because you don't want to cut this off and then go zip.
Yep.
Oh man, what'd you do that for? You should have tilted the tile and then cut it off. Push this button up till it locks in. It's locked. Okay. One hand, I'm gonna hold the towel. Then I'm gonna come just to the right hand side of this line. Steadily. Well, I'll be right on it. That's it. Woo. Now I'm gonna come over here. grout. That's a perfect cut. Now, I could, and once again, this gets grouted, so it's going to be kind of like a caulk or a fill.
Okay.
This should be caulked. You can get caulk the same color as your grout.
Got you.
Okay, so these all get caulked. You don't grout this, so I don't need to have a space like this or a spacer. Superimposed it and put it on this wall and you go, that's perfect. Then take it down, take your trowel, and then start putting your mastic on the tile. Then put it in place.
Okay. Don't
spread it all on the wall like you see in some video on TV, which is nuts, because it's going to film over. You're not that fast.
Okay.
Unless I dry cut all these things, you're not going. It's going to film over. You're going to put the tile up there, and you're going to think it's sticking, but it's probably not going to. Then you're going to have cracks and stuff in your grout later on. Trust me on this one here. Don't grout it the same day you set it. You got to wait at least 3 days. And the reason why is that mastic's going to take 3 days to cure. Let's assume for a second you go, oh, hell with that. I'm grouting it the next day. Martina wants it done. What's going to happen is because that's not done, the grout and that setting material is going to start having a chemical reaction. And that chemical reaction is going to make this either lighter or darker than what this is. And it's not going to match. You'll hate life. This setting material has to cure 2 or 3 days. I'd wait 3. Get the tiles up there. Now, the next day, if you want to pull your tiny spacers out, you can do that because you need to space these with those spacers your wife bought. But anyway, superimpose every cut up on this wall and make sure you're happy with it. Then remove it, mastic, and then stick it.
And when you say mastic, you're talking about the adhesive.
That's adhesive. That's wall adhesive.
Okay, the adhesive.
They call it wall mastic, wall adhesive, same thing.
All right, y'all, I'm just checking in. It is so hard to record and do this because, yeah, once again, we're trying to figure out what we're doing, but I just want to come and show you that we do have the first 2 tiles in. These are what you call spacers, and I did use, I think it was like 3/16 inch of the spacer. And so, yeah, I'm really excited. Look at that edge. Tom did really good. Can you see that? I'll try to give you a zoomed in, but yeah. So now we're moving really slow because we got to get these cuts just right. So we keep kind of dry fitting it, just trying to see if it's going to work. And so far it's about our 4th dry fit and we're trying to see if it's going to work. But yeah, it's really, really simple once you get that cut right. But yeah, look, these are our 2 new tiles and we're gonna take it all the way up. Well, we're gonna leave this part for the range. So we drew out the range and we're just gonna put the tile on the outside of the range. So yeah, I'll be back. So this is the dry fit. And what he did was just take a little bit off of this. I can't even really tell you did that. So that looks good. Right now I'm just cleaning off the adhesive. I just think that it's important to just clean as you go. I don't want it to harden too much and then be, more of a challenge. So I'm just cleaning off the adhesive. Expect for spacers to fall out. So I would put more than enough spacers because they are gonna fall out as you're doing the next one if they get hit and as it dries. The spacers are basically there just to make sure that your spaces are consistent. And so like I had a spacer in between here, but it fell out. So, but the adhesive pretty much keeps that tile on the wall and it's not really going to move. But still the spacers are there just in case gravity does fight against the tile and it does start to drift a little bit. So the spacers are important. My trowel is too big for this, So I'm just gonna use this little, what do you call this? Spatula or a chisel. And I spread it on with the little chisel. And then these grooves are very important. The way you know that you have enough product is that you want to go in at an angle and then you want to press down, and you should hear it. You should feel it and hear it go against the tile or the wall. I'm gonna put a little bit more. It doesn't take a lot, but I just want to make sure I got the edge. And then I like to clean it up, and I just use my fingers. And I'm gonna put it up there. And just have your spacers ready. So there goes my spacer. And I like to put one at the top and one at the bottom so that I know it's not crooked. And I push the towel up against the spacer. That's how I know that the spacing is accurate. So by this time, I was just in my groove. I had gotten familiar with the grinder. I also was enjoying just the detailing of the tiling, and I also had gotten a groove with laying the tile. So I honestly just kind of relieved Tom and allowed him to enjoy his Sunday off. And also it was good that he was able to kind of keep the kids at bay while I was just able to get lost in this activity. And then every now and again he would just come and check on me and get some video footage. And so that's kind of how we worked it. I will say that I probably should have wore gloves for this activity, so please do so. And also, just a word of caution, do not wash your hands if you don't wear gloves when you are using mastic or adhesive or grout. Do not wash your hands or throw any of this material down the faucet because it will ruin your pipes. Rather, what I decided to do was to get a hot bucket of water, and when my hands became very filthy, I just rinsed my hand in that hot bucket of water and then disposed the water outside. Okay, so again, the pattern is gonna go 1, 2, 3, 1. So we just got finished doing row 1 again. Row 1 is the shortest one. Now we're gonna do row 2. So that means that that first block is gonna run into our range. So I chose this block, and what we're gonna do is, again, it doesn't matter if it's a rough edge because we're gonna caulk this over here. I'm gonna take it to the machine. I am gonna clean it up some, but you're only gonna see this part. It doesn't matter that this is a rough edge because again, the range is gonna fall over this. That's the row that I'm on right now. So I'm taking a line so I'll know where my grout line will be. Now I know how long to make this block. So I'm gonna choose this block. This is what's good about scraps, so save your scraps. This is the range right here. So this block, it has a clean edge. This is just the end of the tile. I'm gonna put it like so. And this, I'm gonna just cut it probably down to right here. And then all of this, we're gonna get rid of. Okay? Now we just need a third block that's this width. So I'm gonna put block 2, so I'll know that this is 2. And now we need one more block. So I definitely plan on doing this again. This was, again, just so relaxing to me. I am a creative at heart, so I am right in my zone right now. I will say that if you do want to give laying tile a try, I would definitely try starting with subway tile or this brick pattern. I love this particular pattern because there's not a lot of corners when you have a large area such as a backsplash. You're really only doing straight cuts. Every now and again when we had to go around the cabinet, I did have to do a corner cut, but for the most part, you're doing straight cuts. And so it really is just a great beginner pattern.
I'm also going to bring you a 3/8" piece of wood. I'll cut you a board, that's all you need. That way you won't need any tile in here. You'll cut tile up to it, and it'll gently slide behind where the hood's at so you don't have any exposure on it.
So if you haven't guessed it by now, I am a night owl and most of my bright ideas come late at night. This was not different. After Tom's and I date night, we got in around 12 o'clock in the morning and I said, you know what? I'm going to finish this backsplash and grout the wall. So that's exactly what I did. And I will say that I felt quite accomplished and I was quite proud, but I also was very scared because the grout lines were very dark at first. But once it dries, it will lighten up. And here's the final look. I am so pleased. Please give this video a thumbs up and make sure you're subscribed so that you can see part 3 of our kitchen makeover. And we also have a family room update coming. Take your piece and give God the pieces.